It's story time. It's Friday night. It's been a long week, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens to the rest of this book. As you know, with Genesis and the rest of the books in the Bible, there are so many stories inside of every book, and it's almost like, every other chapter contains a completely different story about a whole different lifetime. And right now, we're talking about Jacob, who is one of the most promiscuous husbands I've ever met in my life. He has two wives, and he also has taken their servants as wives. And so that means he has four wives, and he has sex with all of them, and he has many children by all of them. And wow, maybe we were born in the wrong time. About it, back then they didn't have technology, and they hung out, and they had lots of sex, and they had lots of friends, and they were just like super social. And now in 2025, people just chill on their phones and play video games. So I don't know. Maybe we should take it back to the biblical days. I don't know. Let's get started on chapter 31. Laban's sons were saying, Jacob has taken everything our father owned and has gained all his wealth from what belonged to our father. And Jacob noticed that Laban's attitude towards him was not what it had been. Then the Lord said to Jacob, Go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent word to Rachel and Leah to come out to the field where the flocks were. He said to them, I see that your father's attitude towards me is not what it was before. But the God of my father excuse me, that's why I have my pajama shirt on, because it's been a very long week and I'm actually tired, which is a rarity. I'm enjoying my sleepiness. I see that your father's attitude towards me is not what it used to be, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I've worked for your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me by changing my wages 10 times. I know what that feels like. It really sucks when somebody changes their wages on you and doesn't even tell you. I mean, you don't really hear about people giving somebody a raise without giving them any heads up, but it seems like people think it's totally okay to give somebody a pay cut and not say anything to them. And from personal experience, it hurts really bad when somebody does that to you. It makes work way harder. Anyways, moving on. However, God has not allowed him to harm me. If he said, The speckled ones will be your wages, then all the flocks gave birth to speckled young. And if he said, The streaked ones will be your wages, then all the flocks bore streaked young. So God has taken away my father's livestock and has given them to me. In breeding season, I once had a dream in which I looked up and saw that the male goats mating with the flock were streaked, speckled, and spotted. The angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob. I answered, Here I am. And he said, Look up and see that all the male goats mating with the flock are streaked, speckled, or spotted. For I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and where you made a vow to me. Now leave this land at once and go back to your native land. Then Rachel and Leah replied, Do we still have any share in this inheritance of our father's estate? Does he not regard us, foreigners? Not only has he sold us, but he has used up what paid for us. Surely all of the wealth that God took away from our father belongs to us and our children. So do whatever God has told you. Then Jacob put his children and his wives on camels, and he drove all his livestock ahead of him, along with all the goods he had accumulated in Padan Aram, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. When Laban had gone to shear his sheep, Rachel stole his father's household gods. Moreover, Jacob deceived. Okay, wait. So the household gods of Rachel's father, the one that deceived Jacob, her husband, in the first place, had false idols in the house, and Rachel stole them. Moreover, deceived Laban, the Aramean, by not telling him he was running away. So he fled with all he had, crossed the Euphrates River, and headed for the hills, the country of Gilead. On the third day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled. Taking his relatives with him, he pursued Jacob for 7 days and caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. Then God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream at night and said to him, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead, where Laban overtook him, and Laban and his relatives camped there too. Then Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? You've deceived me, and you've carried off my daughters like captives in war. Why did you run off directly and deceive me? Secretly and deceive me? Why did you run off secretly and deceive me? Why didn't you tell me so I could send you away with joy and singing to the music of timbrels and harps? You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You have done a foolish thing. I have the power to harm you, but last night the God of your father said to me, 'Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad.' Now you have gone off because you longed to return to your father's household. But why did you steal my gods?" Jacob answered Laban, "I was afraid because I thought you would take your daughters away from me by force. But if you find anyone who has your gods, that person shall not live. In the presence of our relatives, see for yourself whether there is anything of yours here with me, and if so, take it." I don't think he knows that Rachel took her father's gods. Jacob answered Laban. Okay, wait. So I'm on chapter 33. Verse 33, chapter 31. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent and into the tent of the two female servants, but he found nothing. After he came out of Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them inside her camel's saddle and was sitting on them. Laban searched through everything in the tent, but found nothing. Rachel said to her father, "Don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence. I'm having my period." So he searched but couldn't find the household gods. Jacob was angry and took Laban to task. "What is my crime?" he asked Laban. "How have I wronged you that you hunt me down? Now that you have searched through all my goods, what have you found that belongs to your household? Put it here in front of your relatives and mine, and let them judge between the two of us. I have been with you for 20 years now. Your sheep and goats have not miscarried, nor have I eaten rams from your flocks. I did not bring you animals torn by wild beasts. I bore the loss myself, and you demanded payment from me for whatever was stolen by day or night. This was my situation. The heat consumed me in the daytime, and the cold at night. The sheep fled from my eyes. It was like this for 20 years I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, you would surely have seen me away empty-handed. But God has seen my hardship and the toil of my hands, and last night he rebuked you. Thing that needs to be understood is when a person is walking with God, God will make his servants do things that they don't want to do. And sometimes we get stuck in very unjust situations and we have to work through it. We have to suffer through it until God says, enough is enough. You're done here. And at that point, no matter where you are, what you're doing, what you're in the middle of, you literally stand up and you go where he tells you to go. You move when he tells you to move. You quit a job when he tells you to quit a job. You drop friends when he tells you to drop friends. This is not easy, but it gets easier as you become more obedient. It gets easier when you have stronger faith and you are not afraid, because when you have complete faith, you can't be afraid. There is no fear involved, because you know that not only are you listening to what God told you, that because you're listening to him, he's already made the way. He's already made the provisions possible. You just have to walk down the path and gather everything that you need on your way. So that's exactly what's happening right now between Jacob and Laban. Jacob was stuck in a situation, but, he was busy making family and, taking care of his wives and doing the things that he's supposed to do. And these were all blessings. And he kept getting, screwed over by Laban, his father-in-law. But, sometimes it bees like that. So we're going to keep moving on with the story. Laban answered Jacob, the women are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine. Yet what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. He said to his relatives, gather some stones. So they took stones and piled them in a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jegar Sehudutha, and Jacob called it Gilead. Laban said, this heap is a witness between you and me today. That is why I call it Gilead. It was also called Mizpah, because he said, may the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are away from each other. If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take any wives besides my daughters, even though no one is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me. Laban also said to Jacob, here is this heap, and here is this pillar I have set up between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness, that I will not go past this heap to your and pillar to my side. That I will not go past this heap and pillar to my side to harm me. I will not go past this heap to your side to harm you, and that you will not go past this heap and pillar to my side to harm me. May the God of Abraham and the God of Noah, the God of their father, judge between us. So Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. He offered a sacrifice there in the hill country and invited his relatives to a meal. After they had eaten, they spent the night there. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he left and returned home. And that is the end of chapter 31. I'm really glad that you were able to join me for chapter 30 of the book of Genesis. If you would like to see chapters 1 through 30, all you have to do is find me on YouTube at Jesus is a DJ. I will be reading chapter 32 tomorrow.